Nayeli, quienes se encuentran en Teams, ¿sí nos escuchan en este momento?
Sí, sí los escuchamos.
Gracias. Buenas tardes, tengan todos ustedes. Agradecemos su asistencia a la segunda sesión del Seminario Permanente de Lingüística Aplicada, organizada por el Cuerpo Académico de Lenguas Extranjeras en el noreste de México. Agradecemos a nuestro director, el doctor Francisco Javier Treviño Rodríguez, por brindarnos todas las facilidades y el apoyo para la realización de este evento. El día de hoy nos hará favor de presentar la maestra Gracia Mendoza de Honduras, quien por motivos de falta de electricidad en su país no podrá acompañarnos en vivo, pero ha enviado un video de su presentación, el cual estoy seguro que vamos a disfrutar y de él aprenderemos ah, mucho. Al final podrán enviarle preguntas a su correo. Me voy a permitir leer la biodata de la maestra Gracia María Mendoza. As a researcher for WYDA, that is World Class Instructional Design and Assessment in Spanish, Gracia Maria Mendoza facilitates research processes and design of resources for professional development through innovation, contextualization during implementation and promotion of complex, consistent, and quality research. She is responsible for letter A, coordinating research conducted with participating educators and local school districts. B, tracking and maintaining records contributing to the research and evaluation conducted in the different educational programs. And C, conducting research activities. She has 30 years experience in education at all levels, including PK-12, higher education, and adult education. In addition, the last 15 years, she has focused on teacher training in Honduras and worldwide through her volunteer work with TESOL International Association, where she has served as a member of the board of directors from 2019 to 2022. During those last 6 years, she also worked directly in development through education through her work at USAID Honduras, managing projects ranging between 10 to 55 million and supporting the Ministry of Education in Honduras in quality of education, community engagement for education, development of social and emotional learning and violence prevention methodologies, as well as contributions for workforce development and positive youth development. She is an active conference presenter in the USA and other countries. Gracia has an undergraduate degree in teaching English and a master's degree in international education from Framingham University and graduate studies in TESOL. Okay, let's give her a great applause. All right. Thank you. Please, let's start the video.
drafting a focus bulletin about this topic and attempt the creation of some sort of framework or model to support teachers to engage in this very exciting area of academics. So let's learn a little bit about it. And we're going to start by discussing what we will do today during the next 40 minutes, 30 minutes. We're going to define what academics is. We're going to talk about what it is, what scholars say about it, but I also want to leave us with our own definition, because it is important when we think about these topics is that we understand what literature says, what the way that things are defined, but what is our definition, the one that we embrace and the one that we live by and the one that we advocate for as well. Then I'm going to tell you a little bit about why I believe it's relevant and the things that I have been doing and how that really inform the relevance for me. I'm going to show you and share with you some scenarios for reflection, some lessons learned, and some best practices in case you're interested in becoming a academic. Some recommendations also on how can you engage on academics. And I will also share the two articles that I have written on the topic, the foundational one, which is related to action research, and another one that I wrote with Araceli Salas, with whom we have been discussing about academics, and it's part of the reason why this topic has started to be part of my interest and the work that I have been doing recently. So defining academics. Posner tells us that academics are those who are in significant positions that are both academics and practitioners. So it would be someone who is, let's say, a professor at a university, but it's also teaching in classroom context, maybe in an elementary school or secondary school, or even within the university, right? That applies certain practical aspects that go beyond research and academia. Then Wolfenden and others refer to it as practice academics, which means a blend of the research and all the practical approaches that really diversify that type of knowledge and abilities and competencies that as teachers we bring into the classroom context and into our teaching practice. So these are very two interesting, very similar definitions from researchers in what they define as academic. And if you notice, and sorry for that typo on 2009, if you notice 2009, that's a long time ago, but academics has been along for a while. In the articles that I will share with you, you will find how long has it been for academics to be around, but how important it suddenly is as we engage practitioners in research and in exploring the issues and challenges of their classroom and how they view them from an evidence-based perspective. So my definition, or when I'm thinking about academics, I'm thinking about those people, those teachers, practitioners who can bridge that gap between research, evidence-based, academic context, and the practical application to the field, be it language development, being any subject, being in the education context in general. And in our cases, it's education because we can be in different educational contexts, not necessarily only English language teaching or language teaching. We are combining that scholarly research with hands-on experiences, and we're making it practical because what we want is to really enrich and enhance the way that we do things in the classroom and how we are supporting our learners to learn better and how our knowledge and skills increase in such a way that we are going from things that are working more or less to things that are working really well, right? We're becoming experts in those areas because we are seeking ways to effectively and efficiently inform our teaching practice. Then here comes the question, why? Why should I engage in academics? Why is this so important? Well, because it supports that evidence-based knowledge that we should have as practitioners. and it connects them with what we're doing in the classroom. It brings those linkages of the current studies, the current research. So we're not ignoring them because they are too difficult to digest. We are bringing what is actionable from those studies and make them practical in our classrooms. We are applying those comprehensive studies that provide systematic data and systematic analysis and recommendations to actually implement them and integrate them in our real life context. And this way, we are contributing at also providing sources of data for researchers, but also for ourselves, which I think in the end, it's what's more important. We want to inform our own teaching practice, and we want to make sure that that research that we find informs our work, and that in turn, we're generating more research, thus fostering innovation in education, because we are using the studies and the evidence that is out there to improve our teaching practice, and then building new ideas, new trends, new ways of doing and thinking about things in the language classroom and in education, so that this can inform other data, other analysis, and create new sources of research, right? So it's like, it's an ongoing cycle. Another reason is that when we pair frameworks and the realities of the work that we're doing in the classroom through exploratory research, action research, for example, we are building in our classroom a more learning-centered approach. So in the end, what's important is that our learners are learning, right? We are addressing varied challenges because we are noticing certain things. We are analyzing how to address those challenges, and we find ways. We systematize that information, we write that out, and then we contribute to the field, right? And that way, we're not waiting for a study to come and tell us what is happening in our classroom. Ourselves, we are doing it, and then we're informing the field. And that can expand certain research that might go even further, right? But we are providing, through our exploratory action research, the tools and the information that is academic, so that we are informing the field as well. And we are informing it in real time with real life situations. We're also removing language barriers, and we are creating more inclusive and more culturally responsive teaching practices in our classroom, because we are not expecting somebody else to tell us what to do. We are taking things in our solutions in our own hands and integrating them and analyzing them and sharing with others and telling others, this is working for me. It can work for you, maybe if you adapt X, Y, Z. But we are creating instances where this is actually supporting the work that we're doing. So some of the best practices that we can consider are how we build collaboration, that it's intercross transdisciplinary, and it means across disciplines. It means in creating across the disciplines, and it means connecting with others, even if they're not in our field exactly, or even if they are, for example, in technology. But how do we integrate technology into the work that we're doing through research, right, and through practical approaches? And how do we collaborate with others that are in other areas of finance and economics, and how that informs the work that we're doing in the classroom, so that we bring real life experiences for our learners, and also evidence-based approaches that are proven to work out there, that we are using in our classroom to simulate real life scenarios, but to also create and develop skills in our learners that they will be using later on in their lives. Systematically collecting data. It's another thing that we need to do. This can be challenging sometimes, especially if we are teachers who have a huge workload, but there are especially now with generative AI, there are things in place that can help us systematically collect data. And there's right now a whole body of research and actions that are being used in order to support researchers to collect data more effectively. So that is something that can helps us as practitioners in order to collect that data systematically and put it at the service of others. Use the results that we get from the performance and evaluation of our learners and the performance and evaluation of our work in the classroom to inform the work that we're doing, but also to inform the research that we want to do. That those results are part of that data and are part of systematically collecting that information. And it's taking us to become and to inform others about what is happening in that small space that can be extrapolated into bigger spaces. It can be within our institution, within our community, or outside with other practitioners and in other areas and other researchers. Also tracking the progress. When we are studying something or studying an issue, we need to, we come up with solutions and potential ways to address the problems. And this helps us understand what is happening, but we need to keep track of that progress, how that is going. And that connects to systematically collecting the data, right? How are we tracking, monitoring the way that we're integrating certain solutions and how is that working, whether it's positive or negative. Remember that when we are addressing issues and proposing solutions, not necessarily the first solution that we come up with is the solution for the whole problem or the whole issue, but it's part of sometimes. And we looking at the negative helps us learn at the negative, quote unquote, helps us learn how to create that and make it a positive, right? And this is very important, this last one, sharing insights with others. I think part of the good work that we do as practitioners and as academics is the fact that we get to share with others, whether we go to a conference and share, whether we go to a webinar like this and share, or whether with our peer within the same institution or within the same school district, we are sharing and we are informing them about the work that we're doing and how we're improving their program and something that worked well for us and how that can contribute to improve their own programs and their own educational outcomes. And you will see in some of the scenarios and some of the lessons learned, sometimes one thing that you do can have an impact at a broader level. And you thought it was only the impact at your in your small area or in your small classroom, but that can go beyond your institution and actually sometimes even become policy. So it actually depends on how you share that information and how systematically you have organized that to be shared with others. Another set of best practices is regularly read research. Reading research can be daunting sometimes. Some people might find it boring. There are strategies that each of us can generate to skim and scan for the information. Sometimes depending on what I'm doing, I try to skim and scan for specifics. So I will read probably the abstract. Then if I'm interested in the methodology, I will focus on the methodology. And if I'm interested in what the results were of the study, I might go to the recommendations or conclusions. So reading research doesn't have to be reading from the first word to the last word. It can be a strategy that you generate and that where you get what is important for you. And then that helps you be up to date with the research that is out there and what is happening and the trends that we are seeing. So it is important that you are constantly reviewing those bodies of research. It is also important when you are reviewing these bodies of research that you are also looking for different voices and not focus only on what comes from your own country or from certain countries. You want to look at what's coming and experiences from all over the world, because that is going to really inform what is happening education-wise globally. And you want to make sure that all voices, all types of contexts, all types of situations, all types of research are represented in what you read and what you learn about, because you want to have that broad perspective and not one focused only on certain things, certain aspects, or created for certain or particular areas. You even want to focus on things that are not really related to your level sometimes, Maybe you're teaching at the primary level, you want to read about studies that are for secondary or higher education, or you're a higher education teacher or student, and you want to focus on what is happening at the primary, preschool, secondary levels, right? Or in adult education. So you want to make sure that the bodies of research that you are reviewing is diverse and that provides the context that you need, but it's diverse so that you can get an idea of what is happening and insights and perspectives of what is happening globally. You want to also apply some of those theoretical concepts to your classroom, right? In your institution or in your community, and you want to see how that works. How is that possible? How is it flexible or adaptable to what you're doing? So you want to try them out and then give an opinion and say, well, this is not working for this context because of XYZ, or this works with this adaptation. So you want to make sure that whatever you find out there, you are applying. You want to reflect on what you can implement and how you have implemented it, right? Whenever we do a research process or whenever we do a practical application, we want to go through that process of reflection. And in the scenarios that I will give you, you're going to have a chance to make those reflections. So be sure to reflect on that and write down your reflections. And if you want, share them with me in an email. I'll be happy to read them and reply to you. Because reflection leads us to understanding, to actually thinking about what is happening, what is being said, what the process was like, and then come up with other ideas or come up with other solutions or think about ways in which we can contribute and support the body of research that is out there. You also want to adjust methodologies and approaches. Sometimes there are things that we just cannot apply or use practically the way that they are. We need to make them flexible. And sometimes when I was working for USAID, we would say tropicalizarlo, right? For our country, make it and adapt it to what we are doing in our context and the way that our context looks. And that is the case within our countries in different areas of our country. It will be different depending on where we go, right? So we need to make sure that we're adjusting, making those adjustments. We need to build communities of learning, meet with people who are like-minded, but also meet with people who think differently from you and who have another perspective, because you will be learning from those as well. Share with your peers continuously. That is very important. Having spaces like this to share about what we're doing and the things that are happening in the field is so important. I was looking at the different webinars that you're having access to. Those are great and the topics are wonderful. So kudos to the team who has been organizing that for all of you. Engaging peer observation and feedback. I remember when I was working for a higher education institution in Honduras, I designed and adapted a peer observation process. And it was not only something that we did among language teachers, but it was something that we did with all the teachers in the general studies program. And I would go, for example, into the math classroom and I would observe my colleague who teaches math, and we would have conversations about what was going on. And that was really helpful in terms of data collection, because we were looking at each other from the lens of peers, right? Professors at the same university, working with the same students, and we were able to coach each other and reflect on the things that we wanted support with. And it could be anything from the way that we were arranging the classroom, how we managed the classroom, the topic that we were discussing. And even if we were not experts in each other's topics, we were able to say and to generate questions for the person that was being observed that would let them reflect and think about their teaching practice and how they were engaging in the teaching and learning process. So that peer observation, that feedback in the form of coaching, the way that I designed that program, and that would be a session for a whole other webinar, but doing that really helped us see the insights and perspectives from the eyes of somebody else, and also help us to engage in that feedback with our students and get our students to give us that feedback and make changes in the way that we were teaching and the way that we were bringing the content into the classroom. So a pracademic does that precisely, engages in observation and feedback and those constant loops of observing, understanding, reflecting, analyzing, getting insights and perspectives from others, and creating that body of research and those studies and those theoretical concepts that can really inform the field and really make contributions for changes in educational practices. So that is something that is really important and something that I wanted to emphasize. So some of the lessons learned, and I can tell you that I have worked with teachers in different parts of the world. Some of the recent ones, I worked with a teacher in Croatia who does professional development for teachers. And she's really interested in action research. And she's a practitioner. She has her own students, but she's also interested in research. So she's a academic, right? And what we did with her was, how do we promote action research in such a way to support teachers on professional development, in the sense that they see action research as a tool that they can use in their teaching? And what we did is we created a model that was specifically fit for Croatia and for the context where she was working in. We wrote an article together that will soon get published in with the research interest group at IATEFL. And it led to reflecting on the importance of how can teachers engage in exploratory action research, improve their teaching practice, and have that evidence-based and academic lens into their practice. So how do they become academics that are constantly evolving, constantly supporting their own teaching practice? Another example was with the teacher in Algeria. She wanted to explore how to boost her students' extrinsic motivation, create external motivators so that then they would be intrinsically motivated to engage with literature. She was teaching literature. We analyzed the age of our students. We analyzed the context in which they were, the access that they had to technology and information, and we ended up trying out using AI to generate text and to generate images. And it was a very interesting project, because when she applied this and she integrated this technology into her classroom, the results were incredible. Her students were immediately motivated. That is the little motivation that they needed, technology. They became engaged in the topics that she was doing. They started reading the literature that she shared. They started analyzing, they started understanding. So as you can see, action research actually helped this teacher who understood the issues, who understood what was happening, and she didn't have to wait for a huge study to come out after 3 or 4 years. She did it herself. She analyzed it. She collected the data. She integrated the solution, and she came up with something that worked with her. Now, she shared this through a webinar, and now others are thinking about this as well. So this is like, if you think about it, that's like how you build that academic sense, right? How you are involving the teachers. It was not a heavy lift. We were able to do it in around 4 to 5 months. And it was very specific, right? It was very contextual. So to her community of students in her classroom, but it definitely is a contribution on how teachers are innovating and doing innovative things in the classroom. So it can become an article that we can write for a journal, and then it can be expanded and extrapolated. But what I'm trying to say is these are the first steps, right, into engaging practitioners into research and becoming academics. These are some other scenarios, lessons learned, and action research to understand whether graphic organizers can enhance learning in the language classroom. The result was improved comprehension in academic language, or teachers who shared their research on phonological awareness at a conference. and show how this enhanced their instructional practice. The result, because of their sharing, was collaboration with other districts. So this is where Pracademics leads you, right? You are doing action research in your classroom, exploratory action research, then you share at a conference, you collaborate with others. That builds a community. Others want to do the same. Others feel excited about it. When I have been sharing about Pracademics and this project that I will start next year involving teachers in Pracademics, they are all interested. So teachers in general are interested in doing research in a way that it's more relatable to what they're doing in their classroom. And this is what I will try to do as we engage in this next year. So get to action. How can I call you to get to action? Well, identify challenges. What are the challenges in the contextual, in your contextual areas, in the places where you are? What is happening that you think requires or would benefit from doing research and engaging in an evidence-based approach? Think about areas of improvement also. It might not be a challenge, but you think, well, this is something that could be improved. We're doing well, but we could do better. And then that could be an area for an action research or exploratory action research. Design and implement those research studies, right? When you identify a challenge, when you think of an area, think about how we're going to design that research study and implement it. Take it, move it forward. And then once you find the potential solutions, integrate them into your practice, analyze how they work, track that progress, monitor how that implementation is going, take avid notes, systematically analyze that data, and then share your results, whether, and like I was saying, whether they're positive or negative. Because from a negative result, we see it as negative because it was not the outcome that we were expecting. But from a negative result, you can gain great experience and a lot of good information. And then model and mentor for others to become Pracademics. This is my modeling and mentoring for you. Some of the recommendations is be adaptable, and you need to be willing to adjust, right? Whatever you're doing based on what you find. So come to the place with an open mind. Embrace a growth mindset. This means that you're going to meet challenges, but these are going to be your opportunities to change ideas that you had, to change notions you had, and to actually grow. Find that balance between your academic pursuits, but also those practical applications in what you're doing in your teaching practice and how you are learning. Equilibrium is always important because we want to make sure we're not going either to one place or the other, but we're finding that balance. And as Pracademics, we are able to find that balance. Engage in learning through different places, a webinar like this, conferences, workshops, professional learning in general, where they let you thrive as a Pracademic. I can tell you that as practitioners, the field of peer-reviewed journals, or yesterday I was reading from my colleague who recently published on action research, how difficult it is. So we need to be advocates for action research and exploratory action research, because action research is saying something important as well. And it's talking about things and real issues that are happening in the classroom that are needs from teachers. So we need to advocate to share those and to expand those voices and to make sure we are sharing that information extensively. And also seek teaching in diverse educational settings. So maybe you cannot move from your country, but you can teach at different levels. And teaching at different levels and doing things in different parts of the world lets you see things with other eyes and with other perspectives, and lets you be innovative and bring other ideas to your own context. So make sure that you are moving along that those educational settings where you are. If you have a chance to collaborate with people in other parts of the world, do that. I can tell you from my experience of collaborating for the last 20 years with people from all over the world, that it's definitely something that it's really helpful, and that it's really lets you grow and lets you see things from a different perspective and from a different lens. As we move forward, remember that Pracademics plays a crucial role for you as a practitioner in promoting the advance of those educational practices. You are the one in the classroom. You understand what's happening. You can inform what is happening in those research studies. Integrate research and practice to foster innovation and to foster growth and to lead to success in the teaching and learning process in your classroom. Be curious, like always look for things that are different, that sound different, and be open to ideas. Seek opportunities to collaborate with others in terms of research, in terms of writing. Right now, I have been collaborating with different people in writing, and that's so amazing because I get ideas and I get insights of things that I never thought about. But because I'm collaborating with others, I'm getting new ideas and new perspectives, and advocate for evidence-based practices that can be actionable in the classroom. Research needs to be useful for us as teachers. We need to be able to use it, to implement it, to apply them practically. So these are some scenarios, and I want to leave you, it's 3 scenarios. I want to leave you with 3 different scenarios in 3 different areas so that you see that this is happening and this is possible. But what I want you to do is on your own, reflect on the questions that I'm leaving there. For example, this scenario is related to curriculum development, and it talks about research that was conducted on vocabulary acquisition and language development strategies. And the intent was to find support for a new curriculum with new methods and observation processes and analyzing how this went during implementation. So my question for you is here, how might this academic approach lead to more effective language instruction? And I'm going to leave it there for you to think about it and to reflect on it. And you're going to have access to the slides because I'm sharing the slides with Nayeli. In terms of professional development, a language coordinator is trying to find the best way to support teachers in their professional learning. So this coordinator informs themselves with adult learning theories, and then this is going to inform their design of professional learning workshops for the educators at their institutions. And what do you think will be the potential outcomes because this coordinator is informing themselves with adult learning theories? Think about that and let me know. And then in terms of policy and advocacy, a principal thinks about building a new bilingual education program, and he seeks for comprehensive data on how to create changes that will influence language development in their context. So what is the data collection a relevant piece of this process for him because for them because they want to advocate for policy changes. So what will this data collection do for them in the process of advocating for these policy changes? Now, these are 2 resources in Pracademics that I have written about. These are both public, so you can download them or access them on the WIDA website. One is on exploratory action research and looking at action research as a catalyst for comprehensive teaching and learning in multilingual contexts. The other one is a research brief, and it's talking about the intersection of teaching and research. And this I wrote in collaboration with Araceli Salas from Puebla, from BUAP in Puebla. And I'm currently writing a second brief following this series in Pracademics, and that will be out by the end of the year. Then in January, I'm going to be writing a third one and then a focus bulletin for mid-year. I will be sure to share them with Nayeli so you have the whole series. But this is a way of advocating for Pracademics, for advocating for that intersection of practitioners and academics, and making sure that we are bridging that gap and that we are making the connections that as practitioners, we can contribute to the field and we have something to say that is important and that we are shaping the educational context that we are in. And thank you very much. I hope this was very useful, and I hope that I left you with at least one new idea and that you hopefully have questions for me that you can send. That is my email over there. Thank you all for the opportunity to share. Hopefully I'll get to see you one day in person and we'll get to learn a little bit more from each other. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you in a different moment and at a different time. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, let's give her a great applause because obviously, Nayeli will be sharing this recording with her for sure. Okay. Well, now, we have the participation of Dr. Nayeli Garza Rodriguez, who is the coordinator of our major in applied linguistics. Okay, she's the moderator and she will be making some comments. Nayeli, can you listen to us?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Valderas.
Okay.
Very good. Well, I hope that you have found this topic very interesting. I did. I didn't know about this new concept of academics. And I think that for you as students and for us as professors, we need to know the importance of action research and believe in ourselves as a way of that we are not only teachers, but that we need to do some practices in order to improve our practice or teaching practice. And the only way to do it is to become a researcher. Yes. Sometimes we just believe that teachers, they finish their schools, they teach, but it's very difficult for them to become researchers. But through action research, improving our practices and informing us through academics, like researching, reading journals, this is the way that we can improve our practices. And by doing research, we can also improve the practices of other teachers. So I would like you to comment or to have a message. Like, I don't know if somebody has a question or a comment, because I will send this recording to Grazia. I don't know if some of the teachers who are here online, that you give your opinion about this perspective and concept of academics, or if a student would like to make a comment on what they found interesting about this talk. So I leave the microphone open if somebody would like to participate.
The ones who are here at the auditorium, do you have any question or any comment? Questions? I believe you will be sending the questions to Dr. Mendoza, right, via email. But if you have a comment regarding, her topic, you can share it with us.
Come on, don't be shy.
Just remember, that if you're going to do research, action research, or any other type of research, if someone tells you that that topic has already been researched before, or that someone else has already shared results, you can do it again, because the context, they may vary, and the individuals and the people, they are different. So never stop, finding out what you're interested in. Okay, that's my comment.
Thank you. So, well, guys, this is very important. I hope that you found this session interesting. The way that you change your mindset, your future as a professional, as professionals of teaching or translator, both of you should inform yourself through research. I have here in the call, like Doctora Maria Eugenia Martinez Flores. She's also a translator, and she always says that her research comes from her own practice. So we do research by practicing, by teaching, or by translating, and everything that we can research comes from that practice. So do not think that by doing action research is less important than doing any other kind of research, because it is not. And in fact, it's what action research, it's action research what make us become better professionals in the end. Okay. So I would like to thank everybody. So I don't know if the people who are here online would like to open your cameras to take a photo, and the people who are in the auditorium, because I can see the camera. If you want to go to the front where teacher Tony is, if you want to go there, and so I can take a screenshot of the participants that are face-to-face and the participants that are online. I will give you a minute to stand up and go and sit to the front, the ones that are
All right, so please
in the
come to the front
auditorium.
so that we can take a picture of all of us together.
Hello, Laurita.
And
Okay.
in a while, Dr. Laura Alicia Robles Treviño, she will be sharing the certificates for both the speaker and the moderator, okay? After the picture.
Go to the front, Dr. Valderas, so you can appear, or they're in the middle, so you can all appear. The ones that are closer to the flag, there's one person with a dress, try to get closer, or they're seated in front, in the middle, so you can appear in the picture. Are you ready? Así más pegadito. Yes, there you are. Excellent. I'm going to count. Ready? 1, 2, and 3. Cheers. Cheese. Excellent. Thank you very much. I will share the picture here in Teams. And now I will give the word to Doctora Laura Alicia Robles.
Okay, I hope Dr. Gracia can receive the message, but in behalf of our principal, Dr. Francisco Javier Treviño Rodríguez, le hacemos entrega de manera virtual esta constancia de participación como ponente en el Seminario Permanente de Lingüística Aplicada con el tema Pracademics, What, Why, and How, que se llevó a cabo el 23 de octubre del presente año en las instalaciones de nuestra facultad, firmado por Dr. Francisco Javier Treviño Rodríguez, director. Pues muchas gracias a la doctora Gracia María Mendoza, a todos ustedes chicos por acompañarnos el día de hoy, la doctora Nayeli, que aquí está también con nosotros, al doctor Valderas, Antonio Valderas, la maestra también, Lulú Cantú, que andaba por aquí. Ya está, acá está. También Vanek también está ahí atrás. No sé si algún otro maestro que nos esté acompañando. Muchas gracias a todos los que están en línea. Y pues nos vemos próximamente. Doctora, no sé si quiera comentar cuál es el próximo fecha.
La próxima fecha de nuestro seminario será el 14 de noviembre. Tendremos sesiones matutina de 10:20 a 12 y de igual manera de 5:50 a 7:30. Y estas sesiones serán de nuestros estudiantes de maestría y doctorado, precisamente presentando sus proyectos de investigación en los avances que han tenido hasta el momento. Son de diferentes semestres, entonces sería una muy buena oportunidad para todos de conocer qué se hace en investigación, tanto en Action Research como Qualitative Research en Mixed Methods Research. Los esperamos el 14 de noviembre en nuestra última sesión de este semestre. Muchísimas gracias, doctor Antonio Valderas, doctora Laura Alicia Robles, por el apoyo allá en lo presencial y muchas gracias a todos los que nos acompañaron de manera virtual.
Sí,
Nos vemos pronto.
Gracias y que tengan buena noche.
Muchas gracias por la invitación. Un abrazo.